Yeah, so devotion is so devotion. Devotion. Devotion is the story of Jesse Brown, the first black naval aviator, and his wingman Tom Hudner, and the relationship that formed between the two of them on the onset of the Korean War.
I think this is a story about the best of humanity. I think it's a story about how far you're willing to go to be an ally, to be a wingman. I feel like there's a lot of war movies that have been made, but it doesn't have a happy ending necessarily, but that's what makes it beautiful. And I think life doesn't end in a bow, and life is complicated. Relationships are complicated. Our friendships are complicated. Our closest relationships sometimes let us down, but it's a very particular. It's just a movie that I feel like just says the best about who we are as humans. And after I read it, I saw it as a movie immediately, and that was 6 years ago, and I couldn't even dream that it's come together the way it has. It's a perfectly cast movie. It's a perfect filmmaker. The studio, Sony, has been wonderful with it. Black Label has put everything they have into this movie, and this is why you move to Hollywood and pursue this thing, is to tell stories that I really feel like impact the world and stories that people need to hear. So I'm very proud of this one.
No, I had the honor and privilege to play Ensign Jesse Leroy Brown. Um, where to start with him? But he's a naval aviator, and that is probably the hardest job for anybody wearing wings. It's a difficult thing to do. Now, it was even more difficult when Jesse was making his way to do so. He is a son, a father, an aviator, a friend, a wingman, and as Brother Powell said, the piece is extremely human, and Jesse being integral to the piece is extremely human, and Jesse, I feel, told and lived in a way where it kind of goes two ways. You can live the way you want to be seen, or you can live the way it is. And Jesse really did it the way it is, and dealt with the trials and tribulations that came with that, for his ambition, for his love, for his drive. The boy from Mississippi who touched the sky. That's who he is.
Taking a lifetime of hearing my dad's stories, looking at his worldview, knowing what he struggled with, knowing where he's prospered, and when I first read the script, I mean, the odd thing about, sort of being exposed to Jesse for the first time was seeing a lot of my dad in that story, so obviously what Jonathan and I ultimately did was its own thing, but, kind of in my heart, just being the son of a naval aviator, there was a lot of that story, both technically and emotionally. They both dealt with isolation. There's so many pieces there that I think ultimately just, again, become the DNA of the film.
I got to meet the real Tom Hudner. In order to be able to have the honor of telling the story, I met with him. I went to Concord, Massachusetts, sat down with his family, and really got to look a man in the eyes and understand who Tom was. And I got to see an entire room in his house that was all of the remnants of and reminders of an event that happened in December of 1950, an event that bonded two men, two families together forever. And I saw what weight that was on him, that it wasn't a celebration. It was a constant reminder of a friend that he lost, and it was I carried that weight into this role, and it was a reminder that there's a Medal of Honor given in this movie, and it wasn't a celebration. It was a weight, and it was a reminder of a friendship lost. And I'll say that this is definitely the most taxing role I've ever played, because when you look the person that you're playing in the eyes and say you're going to do it justice, it's a different kind of pressure. And I this wasn't going to set. This was going to church every day, and everybody in this cast treated it that way. And I got to say, Jonathan and I, we really took that brotherhood seriously. We said we weren't wingmen, we were soulmates, and I gotta say, to have a fellow actor in the trenches with you like that, it's such a hard, it's a delicate relationship, it's a delicate friendship to convey. And I was just so lucky to have a actor of his caliber to act across, to try to convey that, because these two men deserve the telling of a great story, and I believe we did that.
So I play Marty Good, who's one of, I would say, 6 to 7 close-knit gentlemen, men who are living together on this carrier deck for months on ends, who are fighting along some of the best, day in, day out, giving their lives every day. Not sure what is going to be out there, but also, at the end of the day, they're boys. You know, they're really young guys. As much as they are looked at as these prestigious fighters, it's at the end, at the heart of it, they're being carried by Tommy over there, who played essentially our dad. Yeah. And we're trying to learn in real time, and not only fight for the country, but also kind of fight for ourselves and fight amongst our crew of men that we roll with. It was an honor to play. Also, of course, real people. That's a lot to handle and a lot on our plates, and you want to do it justice. And JD's direction was just phenomenal to have lead us through this.
I play Daisy Brown, the wife of Jesse Brown. And, you know, coming into this, knowing who the cast was, knowing the responsibility of what it was that we had to carry, not just because it's real people, but because it's a real event, because this is a story that people should know. You come into it with this very great weight on you. And I think that as actors, we experience each other in a way that nobody else gets to experience us in. The space that we share, and, you know, the things that we do in those scenes, and finding those points, and again, finding the truth and the love, it was really important to all of us. And to be able to show up every day and to know that everybody is just as invested as you are, to not being the weak link. There is not a weak link amongst us. And I was very happy and very blessed to be able to share this space. And the movie is handled so truthfully and delicately. And the way that JD handled all of us and the telling of the story, I think it's a testament to how well everything came out together. And so, yeah.
I played Lieutenant Commander Richard Savoli, who was the CO of the 32nd. So I had the responsibility and the joy of being the guy who told the guys what was happening. Mm-hmm. You know, that I get to come to work every day and look at all of these amazing people in the face, and even the amazing ones that aren't here with us right now, and get to know that we were in real good hands in terms of what this story was, and the honor that we were going to pay to the real people who we brought up onto that screen, and do honor and justice to the families that remain. So it's it's a pretty cool thing to be sitting here at this moment. And getting ready to launch this to all of you all, but on behalf of those families. I mean, I don't know. Like, you know, there's so many people in this story who did so many amazing and wonderful and important things that are just lost to history. You know, Richard Savoli has a post office named after him in Rhode Island, and I'm really excited that his family is going to get the opportunity to say, "That's my granddad." You know, and that name on that post office is actually going to mean something a little bit different again for somebody who gave and sacrificed and loved so well. So it's cool.
After the movie was being edited, JD and I think, had a coffee in LA, and we spoke about this idea of taking a stab at the song, which is a lot to think about. And live with, so I got to see the movie with JD's hands with planes flying over before their VFX was put in, and envisioning what it would become, which the film already had so much raw emotion that you didn't need any of that. You know, I think that was so powerful, and the relationship, I think the correlation between all these different characters, the defining thing was that they were away from somebody they loved most of their lives, whether if it was after their lives or when they were on that deck, when they're at home alone, and the idea that they were stuck in their thoughts, and that's all you have, and in your heart. And so it becomes a bit spiritual in that mindset of always being there with somebody if you can't be there physically. You're never alone. And I'm honored that I got to be a part of this, and I had amazing writers and producers I worked with, Harv and Ryan Tedder and Khalid, who are all phenomenal. So it was, and it's a really special part of the end of this film.